Hey pickles, and welcome back to another video. I'm super excited to show you guys this look. One, because the colour scheme is completely a little bit of me, let's be real, but also because this is the first time that I've used the Carnival 3 Love Tahiti on my channel, and as you'll see, it's honestly one of my favourite palettes of all time. Mine is absolutely battered already, and I'm definitely going to need to get it back up really soon. But anyway, today I'm showing you how I achieved this fun, quirky, double cut crease sort of thing. I don't know what you'd really call it. It is inspired by a post I saw by Makeup by Tiffany 87 on Instagram. I'll try and remember to leave her link to her Insta down below. But as I said, if you want to see how we got here, let's go. By this point, no one is surprised that my eye base of choice is, as always, the PLouise base. Today, I'm actually using the shade Rumour 2, just for a bit of a brighter base to, you know, show the colours off as best we can. And I'm just patting a light layer of this all over the lid. The first shadow I went in with was Black Beach from the Carnival Love Tahiti palette. All the shadows are from this palette for this look, and all I'm doing first of all is very lightly mapping out the initial shape that I want the cut creases and basically the whole eye look to follow. I went in with minimal product first just to map out, and I created quite an upward swing on the full cut crease, using the end of my brow as a marker for where I wanted it to finish. And then once I was happy with the shape, I packed on the black shadow a little bit more heavily just to give it some more depth. Colourful shade wise, I started off on the inner part of the crease, and I took the shade Mango, which is this beautiful, really sort of true orange, and started patting that along the top of that black shadow, not swirling, not making any big movements, just tapping to lay the pigment on, but also the tapping motion does start the blending. And just a cheeky little reminder, if you haven't already subscribed, then why don't you do that right now? I only laid Mango on the inner part of the crease and then very lightly dragged it a little bit further across, just because it will start that blend for when we put our pink and purple shades on. To blend out Mango and add a little bit of dimension, I then took the shade Yellow and buffed that very gently along the edges of the orange shade, and then I flicked up softly at the front of the brow just to give everything a nice diffused look. The next shade for the crease I took is Bloom, and I absolutely love this shade. It's such a unique raspberry pink, and I really don't feel like I've got it in any other palette, and I find myself using it in a hell of a lot of looks. I bloody adore it. As before, I patted the shadow on to apply it, using tapping motions to build up the colour and to also start the blend between the pink and the black. Now, it was quite difficult to blend these two shades, so I took Twilight as a bridging shade, which is a technique I learnt from Nosh MUA, so shout out to Nosh, thank you. And as the name suggests, this just helps to bridge the gap in the blend and make everything more seamless and juicy. And then I went into Coral just to blend out the top of those pink shades and make it more smooth of a transition into my skin tone underneath the brow. And I really love Coral as well. Foolish was my favourite shade from the two previous Carnival palettes. Coral is just a bit of a more neon version of that, so hell yeah, I'm down for it. I have to use Coral and Bloom, I have to use as much as possible, in case you couldn't tell. With all my bright colours successfully built up, I felt like I'd lost the black a little bit, so I wanted to amp up the intensity right in the crease, so I just went back in with a little bit more black beach just to really darken and add some depth. This is a tip I learned from Makeup Tiffany J here on YouTube, but I know the PLouise Makeup Academy also does it, and a lot of artists now use this little hack, and it is so handy. So I take cotton buds or a brush, in this case I used cotton buds, and some kind of cleansing agent, so micellar water or a cleansing balm, something like that, and I cut the crease first in this way, and it makes a really sharp, smooth line. Not only that, but it means our next lot of shadows aren't going to get muddied by the previous darker shade above the crease. Another quick little hack I learned from Nosh is to take a gel liner in black and just trace around that crease, and this really intensifies the black because gel liner is always darker than black shadow 99 times out of 100, and just look at the difference this step makes. With that done, I took a little bit of black shadow on a teeny tiny brush and just buffed out that line so it wasn't so stark. Don't worry if we make a little bit of a mess on the cut crease at this stage, because this is why we do it now, because we can always go and clean up, which you'll see me doing in a second. But make sure you do buff that line of gel liner out with a little bit of black shadow. It just makes everything look more blended and less blocky. But now everything we do below that cut crease is going to look even more sharper next to the super deep intense black line. For the next step, I took another of my favourite PLouise products, and this is the PLouise X Mama Mitchell Acid Rain Paint in Blank Canvas. This is a completely different formula to the base. It is much thicker, much more opaque, but it dries matte, so I don't have to worry too much about setting it with the correct amount of shadow, if that makes sense. It just makes things like this much easier, and because it is a little bit thicker, it makes it easier to get that line nice and crisp. And as you can see, it's so much easier at this stage because we previously cut the crease with the makeup remover, and it's just like following a stencil. For this next part of the eye look, I just took all the shades that I'd used in the crease, going from darkest at the inner corner and then all the way through to lightest on the outer part, and then I just blended that away into the base as best I could. And I just took my time with this, adding product little by little and really going back and forth and perfecting the blend between the shades, because in an ombre like this, your blend really does make all the difference. If it's choppy, the whole look itself looks choppy. If it's smooth and seamless, then you guessed it, the whole look is smooth and seamless. Then I cut the crease for a second time, making this our double cut crease, just leaving a thin band of this ombre. And please make sure that you keep this line as uniform in thickness as possible, because that's one of those little finishing touches that just makes everything look way neater. Same again after that with the blank canvas, just going in all over the remaining lid now, and like before, following that initial stencil that we've made with the makeup remover and the cotton bud. Nice and easy. Just make sure all the curves mirror one another, so that first cut is identical, or as identical as you can get it to this one. Take your time with this step, take as long as you need to get everything nice and crisp. Remember, a good sharp cut crease isn't quick, and a quick cut crease isn't good and sharp. We love a bit of tape on this channel because it makes life so much easier. Never mind anybody who says it's cheating. They ain't never played Monopoly with someone dodgy, do you know what I mean? Like, there ain't no cheating. All we're doing is optimising our time because we'll have less cleanup once we peel that tape off. So joke's on you, boo. Plus the peel porn when you remove that tape is something else. Anyway, back to the actual voiceover. But for the rest of the lid, simply laid down the same shades yet again, but this time in reverse order from before. So from lightest, so yellow on the inner corner all the way through orange, coral, pink, purple, and then black right on the wing. So the black shadow creates a wing without us having to do a wing, if you get me. Yeah, I know you get me. Make sure you're being as neat as possible around the top edge of the cut crease, and also don't skimp out on packing that colour on. Make sure this part is as pigmented as any other part. Be sure to really work on the blend as well. This is a large area and we need the blend to be absolutely perfect across the lid. This is the part where if there is any scrutiny to be had of your blending, you're going to be making it easier on the lid for people to criticise. Not that people should criticise, but people do. So really make sure you perfect the blend across the lid. And incoming peel porn in 3, 2, 1. Moving on, back to the PLouise base in Rumour 2 to prep under the eye. If we put a base on the above eyelid, remember we need one on the under eyelid as well for the shadow to stick to. And we are literally just going to mirror all the shades underneath the eye. Again, shock horror, but it really does finish the look and make it look super smoky, grungy, just gorgeous. I'm sorry, but it is. This is a gorgeous eye look. So you can see I worked from darkest on the outer part of the lower lid and then blending through to yellow at the inner part. Honestly, I feel like this part is pretty self-explanatory and maybe just a little bit monotonous, but you can see from the video what we're doing anyway. For lashes, I took these from Docolor Beauty in the style Love Lace because they are probably my all-time favourite style of lashes ever. However, looking back during editing, I think I probably could have got away with a more dramatic lash, but obviously use your own preference of lash at this point. And as one last step to add a little bit of sparkle to the inner corner and the brow bone, I took Pixie Pigment from Peaches and Cream, which is a white which breaks this sort of pinky violet shade. So I thought it was absolutely perfect for this look. A little bit dramatic, but this look isn't exactly natural, and I feel like it just all worked together so beautifully. And this is the finished look. That is how I created this sunset double cut crease wing thing. I have no clue what I'm going to call this video yet. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have and you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please make sure you do now, and make sure you hit the bell so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. Don't forget you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook. And until next time, Pickles, stay safe.